Tea time, yeah, making a difference, one cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. So be sure to grab your tea, grab a seat, and tune in to Miss Liz. Tea time, making a difference, one cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. Tea time, time.
Well, welcome to Tea Time. It is the last one of July 2023, and I am joined with Michael Clark, and he's going to be sharing horror stories. That's right. So if you're a little scared, grab your blankets, grab your pillows, and squeeze them because we're going to talk some horror stories. We're going to talk some other good stuff too, and he's going to share his TEA with all of you tonight. So grab your tea, grab your beer, grab your coffee, and grab your glass of wine, whatever you would like to, and enjoy yourself tonight as we have an incredible tea time with Michael Clark. So let's get started with the disclaimer and bio, and then I'm going to get Michael in here, and then I'm going to sip on my tea while he shares his TEA with all of you. So disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz, myself, is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment, please grant StreamYard permission to see your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that the content brought forward for any Tea Time show hosted by myself, Miss Liz, is always brought forward in good faith. However, may bring forward dialogues and opinions that are not representative of my platform. The facts and information are perceived to be accurate at the giving time of airing. All Tea Time guests and audience participants are responsible for using their good judgment in taking any action that may relate to the discussion. The content brought forward may include discussion for some where they may be emotionally at risk. It is significant to note that this show is engaging in discussion forums only to offer and inspire awareness and connection and is not providing therapeutical advice. If you have any questions about the disclaimer or the panelist discussion, you may freely contact me, Miss Liz, through my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com. Moving forward, should you choose to voluntarily participate in tonight's show in any aspect, I myself, Miss Liz, welcomes you. And should you decide that this show is not made for you at this time, I respect your wishes and will see you at a later show at a later date and time. And again, all Tea Time shows are hosted on Thursday, 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Unless it's a rescheduled tea time, then it's a Monday or Tuesday. So now I have the incredible Michael Clark sitting in the green room, waiting to come and share on his horror story novels and books that he has written. Michael Clark thinks eerie is the best horror emotion and writes stories with this in mind. He has written 4 novels: The Patience of a Dead Man, Book 1, Dead Woman Scorned, The Patient of a Dead Man, Book 2, Anger in an Acid, The Patient of a Dead Man, Book 3, and Hell on High, published by Brigids Press. And you can get autographed books and all of that good stuff. If you check out Miss Liz's Facebook page, all that information is there. So let me get Michael in here and let me sip on some tea. Let me pop him in here. Boo.
Hello. I'm still here.
So welcome, Michael.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
So, Michael, let's start off with you as a little boy to the man you are today.
Okay. The Patience of a Dead Man. I lived in the house that is in that book, and I was aged 5 to 9. So I lived in New Hampshire, rural New Hampshire. So I haven't had too much of a tough life. but we lived in an old farmhouse, and it had 23 acres, and it, had a pond and a meadow and a grove in the middle of the forest. So there was like a man-made grove in the middle of the forest where you'd be walking through the woods, and all of a sudden the trees are in perfect rows. So it's kind of a creepy setting, and I use that for the Patience of a Dead Man. Soon after living there, we moved to Dover, New Hampshire. I call that my hometown. I currently live in Massachusetts, and I started writing at a late age. I would say, going back to childhood, because you asked about that, early influences would be like the Haunted Mansion. I was lucky enough to go to Disney as a kid, and I don't know, I just really loved that ride. And I know there's a movie coming out about that now too. But I always loved that vibe, and maybe something like Scooby-Doo. And I was also a Stephen King fan as a teenager. So, those are some of my early influences as far as horror goes. And I've always been into movies and books and entertainment, that kind of thing, just for, that's the kind of life that, that's the part of life that I enjoy the most. Everybody has to work. Everybody has, I love my family, of course. But I guess that's the short answer.
So, Michael, you said Scooby-Doo for horror? Really?
Sure, ghosts and whatever. I mean, when you're 5 or 6 or something like that, you don't want to start off with, The Exorcist or something like that. So it was a good a gateway. Goosebumps wasn't out yet. That was later on. I'm 57, so we're talking about early 70s, and when I started to be awake enough and conscious enough to watch a TV show and remember it.
Well, Scooby-Doo, was a ghost stories, right? Because they always had the.
Yeah, and it was
And it
always
was actually real people, right? Like they pretended to be ghosts and monsters, and
every single time,
right?
They thought it was a ghost, and it's a guy. Yeah.
So, and then you jumped into Goosebumps.
No, I missed Goosebumps because I was
you missed
older.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, like I'm older than Goosebumps, unfortunately. So I was, I don't know what the 90s was it? I don't know. 80s, 90s.
Probably eight in late 80s, I think.
Okay, well, I was in
because we're almost close to age, right? So like you're a couple of years older than me. So I think the Goosebumps were in the late 80s.
I was in college, class of 88 in college. So, I wasn't reading Goosebumps at that point. I was probably, trying to pass my classes.
So we were talking in the background before we went live, and you were talking about the repeating books, right? So you started writing your novels because you got tired of reading the same kind of dialogue, correct?
Reading and movies too, I guess my ultimate goal is, if I could be a director and not a writer, I would rather do that. But that's a job that there aren't too many of those jobs going around, and you have to be, a movie takes, millions of dollars to make. So I figured maybe I can write a story and someday get lucky enough to have it be made into a movie, and start there. So I started writing it, I think I was like 52. And my thinking was, just I used as an example was Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci was somebody that, I don't remember him we didn't watch him grow up on screen like, say, Leonardo DiCaprio or somebody like that. We saw him acting as a kid, and then he became a man. But Joe Pesci was all of a sudden everywhere, at least in my opinion. Yeah, some viewers may know his background better than I do, but all of a sudden he was in Home Alone, Lethal Weapon, Goodfellas. He was everywhere for, I don't know, 5-10 years. And he was a 50 plus old man, 50 plus year old man. So that's kind of like my not mantra, but I think about him because you should keep swinging until you're done. I mean, otherwise, if you quit doing what you're doing and get lazy, I think you start to die.
Well, and I think the older actors, we never really got to know their stories because they were just in movies like bam, 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 bam. Like, you know what I mean? So we never really got to know their storyline.
Yeah, true. I mean, but even somebody, let's say like Jack Nicholson, he was a young man, and then we saw him act into his 80s. But I don't know, for whatever reason, Joe Pesci stuck in my mind that I'm like, wow, he is everywhere, and he was for a while. And I don't remember him seeing him as a young man like you might have seen. You could look up a Jack Nicholson movie and watch watch him as a 20 something.
So do you are you scared of that movie Jack Nicholson made? I think The Shining. Is it called The Shining?
Yeah, no, I love that movie. I love
You
it.
love it?
I,
that is a movie that scares the crap out of me.
yeah, but I
Like,
like to be scared. Like I heard this in a on a Disney show on the Disney Plus channel that it was how they make their rides, and I was interested again in the Haunted Mansion, and the theory behind the Haunted Mansion was fear minus death. Like if you can be scared and you're not going to die, then it's fun. Fear minus death equals fun. So, and that's kind of like the way I feel about horror. Like I'm going to read a book and I'm not going to die, so it's fun. And but I'm also to the point where like a lot of books don't scare me, and I'm looking for that. I
you want
want the
that.
goosebumps. Yeah, I don't, a jump scare is easy. I mean, we can all be like lulled into it's quiet and all of a sudden a cat
Yeah.
jumps out or something. That's kind of a cheapo. But if you can raise the hair on the back of somebody's neck, that's like it's fun to me. And of course, writing horror is not all fun. I mean, there has to be some ugly things in some of there. There's blood, and I don't write a lot of blood, but you know, I can't rule it out. Sometimes there could be a lot of trigger warnings in some of my books, and there are in Hell on High. I don't have trigger warnings in Patience of a Dead Man, but probably will if it gets re-released. Yeah, I just enjoy that thrill as a thrill to horror. It's the only, a lot of people stay away from it entirely because they're not going to sleep. Um, but some people don't drink coffee because it's going to keep them up at night too. I
Yeah.
can drink a cup of coffee and it won't keep me up at night, and I can watch a scary movie and it won't keep me up at night. So yeah, I do it for entertainment. I do it for fun. And like you said in the intro, eerie is the way to go. Creepy, slow, quiet horror
Yeah, those
where
are the ones that scare me the most. And
me
I got my
too.
pillow and I'm like, oh, it's coming, it's coming.
Yeah,
I'll cover my eye. And then all of a sudden it gets like really quiet. And then my son's like, Mom, you can look. And then all of a sudden it's there. I'm just like, seriously,
yeah.
every time you get me every time.
But if it's not a jump scare, like let's say you're got the pillow in front of your face, and then you pull it down and you're looking down a hallway at a ghost at the other end and he's staring at you. That's creepy to me. That's the kind of thing I'm looking for. That's the kind of thing I try to write, an atmospheric book that puts you in it. It's got like 1 foot based in reality, because I've never seen a ghost in real life. Like I know some people that have. I don't know what the circumstances were or if I completely believe it, but um, it's just I love ghosts and black magic, that kind of stuff.
So let's start with book one, Michael.
Okay.
The Patient of the Dead Man. Why that title? And what's that book about?
The Patience of a Dead Man is a saying. I don't know if you ever heard it, but I had to like Google it. I've definitely heard it. I'm like, oh, the Patience of a Dead Man, that fits. It's got dead in the title and whatever. It's kind of poetic a little bit and it's unique. So I Google the Patience of a Dead Man, and what it really means is like, boy, you have to have the patience of a dead man to wait in that line to go buy those pretzels. Like that pretzel place is so popular. You've got to be really patient. That's the meaning of it. But this, it's kind of like a double meaning for my book. There's a ghost in it that has to endure some things and ride some things out, and it takes 3 books to do it. The Patience of a Dead Man is a trilogy, and the first book is called The Patience of a Dead Man. The second one is called Dead Woman Scorned. and the third one is called Anger is an Acid. I don't have the individual books to show you, but I did release it in an all-in-one. So this is 3 books. It's thick because it's 3 books. It's
That's not bad though for 3 books, Michael.
no. I mean, people, nowadays people read their phones more than anything, and that might be intimidating to, especially the younger generation. That I don't think kids even like to go to movies anymore. Like movies are dying. I had a young person say to me one time that, you guys like to go to movies? I'm like, God, I grew up going to movies. It's shocking. And, the TikTok, everything's got to be quick. So I don't know where we're going with movies and books and stuff.
But you make some good points, Michael. Like as an author, it's hard because we want that book, right? We want that for you to hold it, for you to read the paper, where everybody is doing like the online, like you said, like the ebooks and stuff like that. We put a lot of work into the covers and everything that we want you to actually enjoy it and get the feedback from it. So what would you say we could do better as authors to get people to just grab a book?
If you find out, let me know.
I knew you were going to come with that answer. That's why I asked you that, because I was just like, he's going to just say, what?
It's kind of like, do you remember like record albums? Like I used to have the big record albums, with the album art and everything. And that was like half of the fun was, oh my God, I just bought this album. I'm going home now and I'm going to cut the plastic. I'm going to put it on the turntable, but then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to look at, we didn't have the internet, right? These were the only pictures of the band that we were going to see all year, probably, unless you bought a magazine with them in it or something. But, you'd read all the lyrics and it was a thing. And now we're all flooded with information. We're just flooded. There's too much, you think, oh my, it's easy. You can self-publish a book now. But guess what? Everybody can self-publish a book now, and they are. Yeah. Like there's 1 million books coming out a year. Like I heard that number, literally 1 million books a year. So you're not only competing with them, you're competing with the smartphones, and, movies are dying. We know that. I think COVID might've had something to do with that, but, people don't go out as much, but, or streaming, it's all about streaming and television and watching stuff on phones. It's a different experience. So, think of all the businesses, all the industries that the internet has changed, from taxis, to the music business, to books, to, and now this AI, it's just, I don't know where it's going, but it's going somewhere, so we have to.
Well, we were talking about that this morning, me and Gerard, on how fast it's coming, right? It's not even giving you time to rest. It's just boom, 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 boom. If you don't stay on the boat, you're going to get off the boat. You're going to sink.
There's too much information. Like even if you have the week off, I have the week off this week, I don't have much to do. And then I realize, like, geez, I got a lot of stuff to do. Check your emails, there goes an hour, and I spent, half an hour unsubscribing to stuff, like click on one thing nowadays.
Right?
Yeah.
You subscribe to one thing and you get submission to 5 other things, and then you're wondering where it's coming from, right? And you're like, I didn't sign up for this. Or you
bought something from somewhere, and then like one time, like I bought, those pilot hats, the fuzzy ones, I bought one. I never owned one, but we walk the dog a lot, and I'm like, I'm going to buy one of those. Now I get, Fur Hat World emails all the time. It's like, unsubscribe.
You need a new hat.
Another one of those, Yeah, it's crazy. It's just too many things. How many times have you gone in your emails and people are asking for you to review something, like your automotive service, review your automotive service, review your phone call with, whatever, with your health insurance company. It's like, there's just not enough time in the day, you got to trim it down somehow.
Well, it's almost like the patient of a dead man, right?
Yeah. I got off topic there, didn't I? I'm supposed to be talking about my book.
You got to have patience to go through that, or you're going to be a dead man.
Right. But if you want to know really, like the title doesn't say what it's about, but if you read it, you'll understand. But what it's really about, I'll just tell you. There's a divorced man. His name is Tim, and in the process of his divorce, he loses his small construction company. He lives in northern Massachusetts, and he has two young daughters. It's an ugly divorce. The wife lives just to mess with him and use the kids as weapons and that kind of a thing. And he's down to two employees. He decides to buy a house in the country because it's further away from Boston, a little bit cheaper. And he's going to just live in it and flip it for profit and get back on the, see if he can rebuild his company. So he finds this house. And like I said earlier, it was the one that I lived in as a kid. 23 acres, a meadow, a pond, a forest with a grove inside it, like a hidden grove. And he puts all his money on it. And one day he's working on it, inside, working alone. And he sees a woman in the field, like marching through the field. And he's in the middle of nowhere. So he's like, who's that? And then that night he's working in the house. He's got the painter's light on, and he's, like I said, he's trying to work 18-hour days. And he hears somebody running around upstairs. And eventually a little boy comes down, and there's no reason a little boy should be in the middle of nowhere at 10 o'clock at night. So he busts out of there. He just runs because he knows it's a ghost. And he gets halfway down the road, and then he realizes, I have put everything into this house, and I have to go back. Or even if I die, he's a desperate man, like divorce and whatever. He'll have a financial death if he doesn't, go back. So he gets together with the real estate agent to try to figure out what's going on, who these people are that are showing up. And then he realizes that his daughters are coming for visitation in a couple of weeks, and he can't tell his ex, or she won't allow it, and he won't see him again. So he's got to invite his girls into the house, and knowing that it's haunted, and that'll get you started.
So you got to buy the book if you want to know the rest of the story.
Well, I could read it to you. You got some time?
Well, that's a way to get somebody to get the book, Michael. Like, if you tell them, oh, this little boy, this whole story, then they're going to be like, well, I don't need to get the book now. No, you got to go buy the book. Like,
there's more to it. I'll tell you, the woman, the second book is called Dead Woman Scorned, and that's the woman walking through the field, and you don't want to mess with Mildred.
Yeah, I want to know about that woman because I went and did some Googling, and I was like, ooh, she was somebody you didn't want to mess with.
Yeah, I think I created a character that people resonated with. I guess I had been thinking of, something had been percolating in my head for 52 years. And I put together the scariest thing I could, and she's the embodiment of it. She's mad for a reason, and I can't really give that away, but Tim's got his hands full. And in the second book, we learn a lot more about who she is and why she is that way. And then we also continue the battle with, not battle, but, the problem, the haunting with Tim. And then in book 3, Tim's daughters go missing, and that's a whole nother deal.
So is it one same family for the 3 books, or is it different families?
Yeah, it's the same story. It's one story that could be made into 3 movies if anybody's listening.
Yeah, anybody that's listening or watching a replay, if you want to make a good scary movie, you can reach out.
Or 3.
Like 3 movies. But the books, Michael, are they all the same family, or are they different families from different locations in the area?
No, it's all about Tim and Holly, who's the real estate agent, and they're dealing with Mildred, basically, and the little boy, and the little boy is Mildred's son, but that doesn't give away much. I don't know. Check it out on Amazon. It's got good reviews, and I'm proud of it. Um, and the Dead Woman Scorned got number one novel of 2020 from Well Red Beard, who is no longer on YouTube, but he was on YouTube, and he read a lot of books that year, and I was pretty proud about that too.
Well, that's pretty cool, right? So where'd you get the name Mildred?
I just made it up. One day I was her name is Mildred Wells, and I was driving up to Wells, Maine. So I was like, that's a good last name. And then I just picked kind of like a creepy, you know, old woman name. Even though she's not old, I mean, she is old, but she didn't die old. She died at, I don't know, in her 30s. And yeah, yeah, Mildred Wells.
I'm trying to think of the kids' scary movie, well, cartoon on Saturday morning. I'm trying to think of all the. You mentioned Scooby Doo. Was there a Mildred in Scooby Doo?
No, there was a Velma and a
Oh, Velma.
Daphne. Um, yeah, Velma. Is that it? I don't know.
So where did Mildred? Mildred is there is a Mildred out there. I know there is in a cartoon.
Well, that's a name. I mean, you've heard that name, right?
I
There
think
are
there's a movie.
Mildreds.
Was there a
Oh,
movie?
you mean you're talking about? Oh, I don't know if there's a movie. Not that I know of, anyway. Maybe there is, but Mildred is a. It's out there. I know there's a lot of British people named Mildred. This one's American, but
I was going
yeah.
to say German.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'd have to
It's
look
some
up.
big mean,
Yeah.
masseuse there. Mildred's coming for you. Like,
Well, that's honestly, I think I got that vibe too, and I'm like, that's it's not very, my apologies to all the real life Mildreds out there, but it's not super delicate.
it is a creepy name, right? And
Yeah.
again, to all the Mildreds out there, if you're listening, you know, but
Well, you know
it
what I
does
found out
have
later?
that
Do you
creepy
remember?
feel to it.
Oh, sorry, I cut you off. What'd you
No,
say?
go ahead.
Well, I found out after I wrote it that do you remember One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Yes.
Okay, well, remember Nurse Ratched?
Yes.
Her name was Mildred.
Oh, that's where that Mildred.
Yeah,
I
I'm
knew
like,
I had seen a movie with Mildred.
yeah.
Yeah, or I read something with Mildred. But now
I'm
that
not sure they even said it, but then they made like a TV show about it, like I don't know, a couple of years ago that didn't last very long,
yeah, I
and it
think
was
so.
called Mildred, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was that little girl or something.
Maybe that's what you're thinking of.
Magic powers or something there. She was like 8 years
Oh,
old or something.
I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy because I could
I'm
shake
going
my
to take
head
you back
for an
into the
hour.
80s there, Michael. Like, we're
Yeah,
going to go time warp here. We're going to
right, right.
back it up a bit and we're going to be like, oh, yeah, I remember that. You brought me to Scooby Doo. Like, come on. Like, I'm trying to.
Yeah, I know.
But Scooby Doo was good. I always wanted to have a van like Scooby Doo had. Like, I've seen them around and I'm like, I want to redo one of
Yeah,
those.
yeah. I went to Universal in Florida one time, and they had one, and it was pretty cool. Yeah, that was a cool van. It was a great show.
Yeah. So, how did the Hell on High come about?
Um, well, couple things. One was I always have had a fascination with Mount Everest. Here's Hell on High, and what that cover is you can't really maybe you can tell, but that's like a mountain range with a skull face and hair blowing.
Well, I've
Like
seen
kind
the
of
skull face in the
yeah,
cover in that.
yeah, but it's superimposed over a mountain range.
Oh.
The original art was kind of manipulated and changed a little bit. The cover artist.
So, what do you have, like hands coming out in the cover here?
You know what? You have 1 second, and I'll just grab like something that'll show it really good.
Oh, you're gonna scare me?
No, just,
He's gonna bring the big boo. Oh, you have something bigger?
yeah. This is the original art, and you can see it's more of a mountain range with a
Oh, yes.
skull
Now I
face.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then see the snow blowing off the top of it and everything. By the way, if anybody wants one of these, and I'll mail it to anybody, for free. I mail a lot of freebies out, bookmarks and stickers and this print, and I've got one for Patients of a Dead Man too. Anyway, if anybody wants one, just send me an email or michael@michaelclarkbooks.com. But yeah, so anyway, I always had a fascination with people that climb Mount Everest and don't make it and die on the mountain are left there.
Ooh.
And they're left there for years. They freeze to the mountain. And I always thought that was really creepy. And there's many stories of climbers going up the mountain and having to pass these landmarks. They turn into landmarks. There was one called Green Boots. And then there was another one called Sleeping Beauty. It's a woman that died and, she looked like Sleeping Beauty or something, just eerie. Because it's so taxing up there. It's so physical. People are, they die and then the next people are basically dying when they get over a certain altitude, that your body is decomposing if you don't get up and back down in a certain amount of time. So there's no way they can help somebody that falls. So I always I always thought that would make a good horror story because I don't know, Everest creeps me out. And then another thing, the second thing was, this is adventure horror. Okay. Patients of a Dead Man is more like haunted house, if you were to put it into a subgenre. And Hell on High is adventure horror. So my wife is Brazilian, and I know I've been there. We've been married for almost 20 years, and I've been there many times. I know the culture. It's not that different from the United States, but it's different enough that I wanted to. They've got their own types of black magic and stuff. I made my heroine named Juliana, a Brazilian woman who is in Brazil, and she discovers something. Actually, I'll read you the synopsis. Maybe that'll be clearer. Okay. Prepare for adventure as Juliana, a 19-year-old Brazilian, finds herself forced to run from an occult overlord, leaving her sister in peril. Temporarily safe, Juliana works to save money for Vilma's rescue, and along the way meets Patrick, a rich boy mountain climber with friends in high places. Angus Addison wants to see his corporate flag on the summit of Mount Everest, carried there by the first woman in history. But the Himalayas are no joke. Failure could cost both sisters their lives. Juliana weighs the risks and rewards, for even if she raises the cash, she still must figure a way to free Vilma from the same man she ran from, a man known to his disciples as the Farmer. So basically, she's in Brazil. She discovers something going on, has to run at the drop of a hat, leaving her sister behind. And then, adventure number one in the book is she has to get from Brazil to the United States illegally, which is a real life struggle. And I read, a couple books, and there's a jungle on the way in Panama called the Darien Gap that is just, a real life death trap. And then I don't think it's a spoiler to say that she makes it to the United States and has the opportunity to become the first woman to climb Mount Everest and win all that money and then save her sister. So definitely adventure. We start in Brazil, we go to the United States, and then we end up in Nepal. So I try to write nice short chapters. It's not deep on Brazilian culture or anything like that. It's not something that is going to lose your interest. A little introduction to some of their black magic. And I had a lot of fun writing that. And Brigids Press was kind enough to publish it. And it's on Amazon right now.
So, Michael, that thing that's behind you, is that the cover of the book?
Yes. This is like a stand-up banner. And yeah, it's basically, well, it's this. I didn't use the final cover art, but it's about 7 feet tall and 3 feet wide, and it's a nice. They're pretty cool, and they're not that expensive, like $150 or something. And I used it at a convention. It's nice to sit in front of.
the reason why I ask you if there was hands in that picture that you showed, because I can see hands. I don't know if that's supposed to be the mountain and snow or whatever, but
You
it
talking about
actually
this?
looks like hands are coming out of the mountain.
I suppose it does, but I don't think it was intended to be that way. Like maybe if you look at this one, you'll see that there's like a ridge. The second, what happened was there was an original. This is the original art, and then I gave it to a cover artist who put all like the extra blue splashes and kind of like a ice background to it. But
Yeah, because it looks like right in the middle, it's like
yeah.
hands are coming out.
See
Yeah,
how
like
that's
see
a
right there, right
yeah.
on the far
You can see
side.
it's kind of a ridge. You know, it starts here, then goes down
Mm-hmm.
like a this. You know, ridge number one is this one. Ridge number two is that one, and then of course, the big black mountain behind there. So I don't think it was intended, but if it creeped you out, then I agree
Yeah,
with you.
it actually looks like there's hands trying to go for the skull. And then when I'm looking at the big image in the back of you, it looks like a woman with her arms up and she's
Yeah.
screaming.
Well,
So,
good.
but then when I look a little closer, then I say, oh, that's a skull face. But when I back up a little bit, it looks like a woman screaming for help. And you're saying that there's a sister.
Oh
Trying
yeah,
to
you
leave
know
a
what?
sister behind. So I'm
Yeah,
just
my
like, oh my
dad,
goodness.
he sees that too. He sees he sees this image alone, the white skull, and it looks like somebody wearing a hood with their arms up like this. Yeah. Well, I don't mind that. I think that a little bit
No,
of
it kind of creeps me out because like it's almost like a double vision. You know, like those pictures where if you turn it
yeah,
just a bit, it changes.
yeah, a little ambiguity doesn't hurt. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Because when I'm moving, like I'm going this way, I see a skull. Then I go this way, and I see a woman. It's like help me.
See, the more that you say that, like I've never really, I've always been like, no, it's a mountain with a skull, superimposed, but it really does look like a hooded person raising their arms. And hey, if people are talking about it,
Right?
I love it.
It doubles the sales, right? You got to see.
Yeah, I
But
hope so.
the story is of leaving a sister there. So, like, the sister's probably on the mountain screaming for help.
Oh yeah,
You know, you go and grab the book, and you'll get the full story.
that,
But
that's
that's
a
what
too far.
I
The
see a
sister
woman
doesn't go to the
screaming, like,
mountain, but she could be screaming for help for sure.
right?
Yeah,
You just never know. You got to go out and grab that book,
do it.
right?
Like I
That's what we
said,
want. We want you to
free
grab a book.
swag,
We want you to hold a book.
free swag if anybody wants it.
There we go. See, free swag. So, Michael, I want to get into your tea. I want to know what your tea is.
All right. Well, when I learned of this, I'll call it an assignment, but not a
I
tedious
give all
one.
my guess homework.
I don't mean
I'm Mildred, the teacher.
no, I actually came up with four of them
Oh,
because I didn't have a tea, like already. You made me think of one, and I was thinking, well, okay, if I'm talking about horror and horror alone, I would say terror, eerie, like we talked about,
yeah.
and atmospheric. Okay, so
Ooh.
the quiet kind of horror. Like there are people that write gory and slashers and demons and whatever. Mine is more like the ghost across the room and the quiet kind of a creeping horror. And then another one I came up with was having to do with like the Joe Pesci kind of angle where it seems like, again, I don't really know his background, but it seems like he came out of nowhere, he didn't quit, and he hit it big at a later age. So I would say try every avenue.
Ooh.
Another one was today, every day, all year long. Just to keep trying, keep swinging. That's what I intend to do. I mean, even if you retire from your job, I think there's a danger in doing nothing. You've got a podcast. It's great. I mean, it keeps you thinking, it keeps you moving. You're meeting people. It's creative. Find whatever you want to do and do it. And you'll be surprised at the envy, the appreciation. And I don't mean envy in a bad way, but your friends, they're like, wow, good for you. You wrote a book or you have a podcast. You must have heard that. You
Yeah.
know, like you said, people were surprised. You were the quiet person.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
was quiet.
Yeah. But all of a sudden it's like you are producing something, you know, rather than, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but go home, watch TV every night and consume. You know, if you can put something out into the world, um, and even if it doesn't become this big moneymaker kind of a thing, you are leaving your mark. You're keeping your mind sharp too, which is a big deal. Um, yeah, the last one I had is probably my least favorite, but it was target emotion and art, like for your art kind of a thing. Just don't, you know, find something and just do it. The last three are all kind of motivational, I think.
But it kind of, I like where you're going with this, Michael, because there's only one T, but you gave me four T's, and there's a reason why you gave me four. Because you're overthinking it. You're like, oh, that one's going to be okay for this one. That one's over here for this one. But they actually all align together. They all connect because
Yeah.
it's your message, right? Keep trying. Your target, of terror, the target of terror. Like you're writing horror movies, so sometimes we always overthink stuff and we see these little things and we're like, oh, but that's not good enough. I'm sure she wants more. I'm sure she wants this, and we're
Mm.
always pulling in more. And this is why I do tea time. It's to show that it's the simple things, it's the little things. So the one that stands out the most to you, which one is number one? We're going to put them in numbers here because you said that was your last one. So if you could number them now that you've given them to me, would you keep them in that order or would you change them?
No, I gave you the horror one first, just because I, wasn't sure of
The assignment.
how specific you wanted to be. You know, like is it about my life? Is it about my little hobby? Writing. I'd say today, every day, all year long. Which means basically just do something. You know, and you don't have to think of it as like a, something that's like a job. Just
Mhm.
do something that you like. Even if you have to go to work, do something you like after work.
And I think that's where we're missing it, right? And it kind of goes with the alignment of what we talked about all day on Tea Time here. This morning we talked about romantic comedies and how arguments start a good comedy, and then we went to the what did we do this afternoon? Da da da. I'm trying to think of the word. Come on, Liz. Where's the word that you're thinking? Where are you? Let me see. Let me cheat. Bucket list. I couldn't even think of the bucket. Like, and then we go into horror, right? We need the bucket in the horror. Like, somebody's got to have the bucket of water. Like, you know,
More
it just
blood.
all aligns together. And this is what happens every week on Tea Time: is all my guests align, and you're all booked at different times. So the universe is actually putting everybody together for a reason. I could have had a woman, a male, and children or a couple. I had all males this week, and the week prior I had all females, and the week before that I had a couple, a male and a female. It's always different. And like you gave me four different cups of tea because you're like, oh, I don't know, is this going to be good enough? Is that going to be good enough? Is that what she wants? I'm Mildred. I'm that teacher that's going to come for you.
Go ahead.
Liz turns to Mildred.
Hit me with the ruler.
Right? You just never know. But we always overlook things. And we were talking about this even before we went live, right? How
Yeah.
we want to, things are coming so fast. We got so much overload in us that we don't know how to process things. So when something simple comes our way, we're like, oh, I got to really work hard on this one, where it's so simple and we overthink it all the time. And
Yeah.
that's what my grandma was teaching me when she taught me tea, Michael, was just sit, reflect, recharge, and release. It's that easy. If we all, and like you said, every day, just do something that you're passionate about and leave that legacy for you and your family and your loved ones. Who cares what the neighbor thinks? It's what you care about. We're so focused on everybody else. Well, that's not a good tea. Come on. Like he could come up with something better than that. He's a horror. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be that person that judges us. And we're not here to judge. We're here to just serve tea. Like we just serve a different type of tea over here. You know, And Miss Liz flows all over. I'm a messy woman. Like I make a mess all the time. And like you said, you know, I have a podcast and people are surprised I have a podcast because I used to be like, can I do it?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, you know what? Let me do it. Like, get out of my way.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm gonna ask, I guess, come on my platform, give me a chance, you know? And where before it was like, oh, I don't know that person. I can't have that person. That person's too big for me. That person, you know, where now I'm just like, you know what? We're all people, you
Yeah.
know.
And
We all
simple is best. You're right. The simple things, like the easy things, like the songs that get written fast are always the big hits and that kind of thing.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got to get away from the trends. Just be different, be unique, like yourself, you know, like, you know, be that patient man.
Yeah. I try. I mean, we have to be,
Look
right?
at that pretzel, Michael.
I don't know. You could say we're late bloomers too, you know, like, you know, you mature in that way, you know, later in life, and you just take your shot, or just ride it out, you know, do your best.
Right.
Do what comes natural.
So, Michael, I asked you what your favorite color was, and you gave me blue. Why blue?
Oh boy, you know, you're going to hit me again, but
Oh, boom, I'm coming.
No, I've always kind of like gone back and forth between blue and green. I don't know if it's because of the ocean or something. Um, why do I say blue? I don't know. My book is blue, but maybe that's the color du jour. I mean, I love all the colors, to be honest with you. You know, I love the colors of the rainbow, um, for different reasons. You know, the sun is yellow, but you're hating me right now, aren't you? Why did I say blue? I don't know. Maybe I look good in blue. But I'm here. I am wearing orange, but I should have worn blue. I don't know.
Well, my favorite color is orange and blue. So we got blue and orange going on here.
Oh,
I'm
there
wearing
you
the
go.
blue, you're wearing the orange. So we're good.
What would you analyze if what are you looking for when I say, the answer to that question?
I'm not looking for anything. I just wanted to know why you like blue because color sometimes represent something important to us, like a memory, a person, you know, like if a grandfather or grandmother that used to wear a blue dress or a blue bonnet or, you know,
Mm,
there's memories. And sometimes it's just the water, the sky, like,
yeah, I
you know.
mean, we see blue all the time, if as long as it's a nice day. Um, yeah,
So
I don't
your book
know.
covers, Michael, that one is blue. So are all your covers for your book blue?
No, Hell on High is blue. And to be honest with you, Patience of a Dead Man is kind of like it's black and white and like a rusty border, but I didn't pick those colors. I gave a picture. That's my wife, by the way. That's my wife coming out of our downstairs bathroom.
Hmm.
And but that's not scary. Um, I just gave him the picture, and he put the font and the colors together. So no, I don't have any reason for the coloring of that book. I did tell him on Hell on High that I wanted it to look like not only the mountain range, but dirty glacier ice, kind of like behind it, and that was what he came out with. So, that is actually a picture of glacier ice at the top. It's
Wow.
kind of shiny, but I think that that's pretty. I was actually lucky enough to go to Iceland in April, and I saw a glacier, and you can walk up to that ice, and like it's translucent, and you can see, ice it's blue. It's gorgeous. Um,
See, so it's the ice and sky and
for
water.
Hell on High, for sure. And I've been living this life, living this story for a couple years. It took me. I consider it my sophomore effort, even though it's the fourth book. And I didn't want to have like a sophomore slump, so I maybe going against the grain with the simplicity thing. I waited and I waited and I did it and did it and did it till I was happy with it. So I learned a lot writing that book. I was immersed in the ice and the cold and watched a million YouTube videos about, people doing hikes to base camp, and if you ever get a chance, find some of these people that just, this happy couple that wants to walk up to base camp, which is 17,000 feet. 17,000 feet is the highest point in the Alps. Okay. So That's base camp at Everest. That's how tall this mountain is, how high it is. And you see this young couple having fun, and as they hit, go higher and higher. Not feeling good today. We're not going to climb. The humor leaves their body, and they're not even on the mountain. It's just to any Everest enthusiasts or mountain people that like mountain climbing movies, that kind of a thing. You're going to love this. I did have like a beta reader that's like, I don't care about Mount Everest. And, that kind of that aspect of the book was lost on her. But I definitely feel a passion for it. And, maybe that's why I picked blue for this show.
I think it's pretty cool how you mentioned how the couple was all lovey-dovey, and as they got higher and higher, right? It was like, it's almost like a relationship, like you're all lovey-dovey honeymoon stage, and then as the years go by, it's like, I don't know if I like that anymore about you, and no, I don't like that kind of food, and I only said that because I wanted to be with, So it's almost like the
But
hike
this
in
is
the
them
mountain, right?
in the course of like say a week or two, climbing the mountain, and the altitude is like probably like just like the years going by. I'll give them a plug. The name of the couple on YouTube that I watched, it's called This Doesn't Suck, and you should watch their Trek to Base Camp video, because they feel the pain of you stay in like a little plywood hut. It's not heated. They don't want to get out of their sleeping bags, but they want to see Everest Base Camp, and you see the physical toll it takes, and that's just for people, that want to see the bottom of the mountain.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it just shows you what life is about too, right? The higher the work is, the stronger the work is, the crabbier we get, the slower we get.
Yeah.
I can't do it. It's too high.
Yeah.
And we have to push ourselves sometimes.
And you run into pitfalls along the way, just like
right.
There's another video with a couple of brothers doing the same hike, and they get food poisoning, and it knocks them out for like 3 days. They're living that pain. I don't know if you ever had food poisoning, but it's awful.
Yeah, I've had it.
Chills, the shakes, it's.
Yeah,
and never mind touching, being like near the top of the world, and you can't breathe. Forget about
it. So we're almost done. We're almost at that hour, Michael. And I got a few more questions for you here. So I asked you to describe yourself in one word. You gave me 2 words. Do you remember what the 2 words were?
Oh, God, did I? No, I don't.
Organized and witty.
Oh, okay. You know why I said that? I picked organized and my wife picked witty.
Oh, well, I want to hear about witty first.
Well, I don't know if you've gathered, but I like to crack a couple jokes. I'm a horror writer, and here we've laughed a bunch of times tonight. I'm kind of like good in small crowds. I like to have fun, and pretty good sense of humor. So she thinks I'm funny, and that's a blessing. I'll tell you that. When your wife thinks you're funny, that's a good thing.
And organized. Why organized?
Because I am. I plot these novels before I write them. I have a spreadsheet. I sort it 100 times. I make sure that the thing is, ready to go. Like that, I'm not going to be like in the middle of the book and like, where is this going? But I'm that way about everything. I know where everything is in my office. It doesn't look very organized right now, but
as soon as you're done, he's going to start organizing.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, that Liz.
Exactly. I don't know. I just like to. I think that's why I do my job the way I do it, or whatever. That's my. Some people can sit down and start writing and just go from page 1 to page 300, and it's called pantsing it. And I need to have that plan. So I make sure I have a plan, follow the plan. I can change the plan on the fly. But I think I think I'm more organized than most people I know. So that's why I said organized.
So Michael, how long did it take you to write the last book?
This one was, like I said, it was a little bit of a challenge because, one of the reasons was that beta reader that was like, I don't care about Mount Everest. I'm like, oh, I'm not touching a nerve here. So I went back and, nurtured it. And so I'd say a couple of years for that one. I actually like kind of got away from it for a little while. I thought I would maybe not write. I thought I would try to turn The Patience of a Dead Man into a graphic novel, and I drew a bunch of pictures, and then realized that what a monumental task that is. And eventually, calmed down. I mean, imposter syndrome is big with authors, and it was my first case of that, where you don't think you should be doing it, or other people are better than me, that kind of thing. And I just wrote it out until I knew that was a thing with authors, and I wrote it out until it was gone. And I mean, when I say wrote it out, I not wrote, but RODE. I just hung on. I said I'm not going to publish it until it's ready to go, and I didn't. And if this is a sophomore slump, then I'll take it.
So you held on to that book for how long?
A couple of years, I mean, and that's a long time. I wrote the other three, which is really one story. The Patience of a Dead Man is 3 books, but you don't have to create a new universe, and new characters and stuff. So, but I wrote those 3 in about the same amount of time, So, yeah. I mean, 2 years is a long time. But I had some stops and starts, for Hell on High. And now that that's over, message to the viewers, like with the imposter syndrome, like you ride out that rough patch, and then like I'm never going to have another sophomore book. That's it. It's done. And now I feel free. I got away from Mildred, who I was very attached to. Honestly,
well, Mildred came back in.
Yeah, I was very attached to her, and I wanted to turn her into a graphic novel, and maybe Hollywood would notice that, But that's the chances of that happening are slim and none. And even if they do take over your work, they're going to change the heck out of it, Yeah, no, I got through that, and now I'm writing another one. It's going much smoother, and I got the monkey off my back of all that self-doubt, and I also put some space between me and the first 3 books, which was one story.
And you can get all of these books where, Michael?
Well, you can get Hell on High just about anywhere. You can go to order it from Barnes and Noble. You might not find it on the shelves because it's a print-on-demand book, but you can order it from any bookstore. And I would suggest, if you can, and if you have a favorite bookstore, like a little one, like a local one, do that, because they need it too. And I've grown to know a few of them, and they're great people, and we need them, because Amazon is constantly changing, and they're just too big. And but Patience of a Dead Man I self-published, and for now I might have it redone by a small press like Hell on High, so it can be bought in any place. But for now, it's only on Amazon. And if you are a Kindle Unlimited person, then it's free.
Awesome. Well, I want to really thank you, Michael, for sitting and sharing and ups and downs and words and teas. Lots and lots of teas. We served a lot of teas tonight, and I really want to thank you because you're closing up July. We're going into August with 15 new guests, 15 new topics and stories. So I really want to thank you for wrapping up July, with a good, witty, organized cup of tea. That's who Michael is. And, I just had really a blast sitting and talking with you tonight about your books.
I did too. Thanks so much for having me, and really nice to meet you too as well.
Well, it was an honor. And I want to give a special shout out to Mickey Mickelson from Creative Edge for giving me Michael Clark and sharing all of his incredible clients with me this year in 2023. And check out, because 2024, there'll be some guests coming back. We're doing reunion shows and all of that good stuff. That's in season 5. So stay tuned for that. There's a lot of stuff coming with Miss Liz for next year. So stay tuned for that. And if you'd like to watch any of these tea times, you can check out Miss Liz's YouTube channel, Miss Liz's Tea Times. Give it a quick subscription, ring that bell, and you'll be notified when there's a new tea time coming up. Also, you can check out Miss Liz on my webpage at www.missliz's And if you'd like to be a guest on Tea Time, you can reach out to me at bookingmissliz@gmail.com. And we're going to slide out of July and go into August. And we're going to be hitting number 88 on August 3rd. So stay tuned for that. And I'll see everybody on August 3rd at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll do this all over again and serve 3 different cups of tea.
Awesome.